everyone, it's Doom and welcome to last week's video, which I am posting very late. This week I had decided to do a big challenge for me, which was this kind of a landscape scene of these mountains with some evergreen trees on them and a little witch character in it. It was a challenge because I don't usually do pieces like this. I'm much more of a portrait artist, so I'm used to drawing characters as the main focal point rather than a setting as a main focal point. But this is something that I really want to get better at, so I'm really diving in with this. It was also a challenge because it wasn't quite as simple to color. I really worked with the watercolor as a medium more than I usually do. Usually I just use it kind of as a tool for coloring, is how I describe it to many people. But in this one, you will find a lot of layering and a lot of attempt at technique. Unfortunately, I'm not very knowledgeable at good watercolor techniques, so it's a bit all over the place, but it definitely was a really good learning experience for me in terms of how to layer watercolors well and how to get a better variety of tones in my art, which is something that I struggle with in general. And you will see through this me really struggling to get the whole thing out of just a really medium tone. I struggled a lot with contrasting values. The values that you see right now don't change for quite a while, even as I keep layering on more colors. But in the end, I think I ended up with a piece that I'm personally really impressed with myself with, and that I feel pretty proud to have hanging up in my living room. As usual, I'm using my Canson XL watercolor paper. The one that comes in the pad, my mom actually bought some of this paper in a book, and it wasn't the same one. It was like 90 pound instead of 140, which is what the pad is. So if you're looking for a paper that reacts like this one, it is the Canson XL watercolor that is 140 pounds. So yeah. It didn't really like the amount of watercolor that I was putting on it in this. As I've said before, I use more of a light kind of approach, not a lot of layers, but it still worked. I ended up framing this at the end, so it didn't really matter too much because it ended up getting pressed into the frame against the glass. But I would definitely say that this is not the paper most suited for this. Probably something of a much higher poundage would be necessary. And as for paints, I am still using the Windsor Newton Artist Watercolors paints. I actually did exclusively use them in this one. I did not use any of my koi watercolors. I actually don't have that much to say about the process of this painting, so I think we're going to be kind of light on the commentary for this one and heavier on the background music. So just enjoy watching me put layer upon layer of paint onto this and how long it takes me to realize that I should be using much more concentrated colors. And that was the bulk of the watercolors, and here I am about to add in some of this Rowney pearlescent liquid acrylic in the color Autumn Gold, which is a good name. This is just some gold liquid acrylic that my boyfriend has. Which it was fun to experiment with. I actually love adding gold to paintings, and I love experimenting with different gold shiny mediums. I oftentimes use a gel pen that I particularly like that will probably appear at some point, but that obviously does not have as much of a punch to it as this ink does. I'm doing a bit of line art too with the Micron pen that I'm usually using. I think it's a 0.05. Next week's video is actually going to be me trying out some new pens to get something that I hopefully like inking with. I went shopping for the pens today and pretty excited to do that. Here I am outlining the witch. Unfortunately, I think the witch looked best earlier. The first coat that I did, every single coat of stuff I put on her makes her bulkier and worse, and honestly the worst is still to come. And here is that aforementioned worst. I don't know why I decided to see how she would look outlined in gold, because it's not good. I don't like it. That's me trying to remove it now. I just ended up covering her up. She stayed very pearlescent, and pretty much all of the detail is just gone at this point. I actually outline her with the gold later, and it brings back a little bit of it, but for the most part, that's definitely one of my bigger regrets of this painting, is really overworking the character, and something to keep in mind in the future, that the more times you go over a small figure, the worse it's gonna come out. And everyone's favorite, removing the washi tape and revealing the nice clean border. Actually, the unclean part of the border is right there. And this is the final piece. Here it is in all this glittery, shiny glory, with the little witch outlined in gold, all the gold on the trees, and I speckled gold all over the thing. It's a very, very shiny piece, which works out great because I have it placed right next to a lovely lamp in my living room. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. You can check out more of my art on my Instagram, which is on the screen right now, or my Tumblr portfolio. I will be posting another video later this week of me trying out those pens, so subscribe. Thank you.